United States officials say they would not hesitate to pursue an appropriate response in the United Nations Security Council were Russia to take military action against Ukraine in order to defend principles of the United Nations Charter, adding that they were looking at an appropriate time to raise the issue in New York. Worth noting that any council action would be subject to a Russian veto. The White House saying Tuesday that President Vladimir Putin had created a crisis by amassing 100,000 troops along Ukraine's border.
Where things stand right now, President Putin has created this crisis by amassing 100,000 Russian troops along Ukraine's borders. This includes moving Russian forces into Belarus recently for joint exercises and conducting additional exercises on Ukraine's eastern border. So let's be clear. Our view is this is an extremely dangerous situation. We're now at a stage where Russia could at any point launch an attack in Ukraine. And what Secretary Blinken is going to go do is highlight very clearly there is a diplomatic path forward. It is the choice of President Putin and the Russians to make whether they are going to suffer severe economic consequences or not.
The U.S. top diplomat arriving in the region earlier Wednesday as both sides engage in a series of diplomatic talks as efforts to ease tensions have produced no breakthrough as yet.
As you all know very, very well, we have been engaged in the past couple of months in an intense focus on Ukraine because of the significant buildup we've seen of Russian forces near the Ukrainian border. No provocation, no reason, except that we have a very significant force. We know that there are plans in place to increase that force even more on very short notice, and that gives President Putin the capacity, also on very short notice, to take further aggressive action against Ukraine. And that, of course, has gotten not only our attention, but it's gotten the attention of virtually all of our allies and partners, and not just in Europe, even beyond.
As fear of conflict rises, Britain said this week it had begun supplying Ukraine with anti-tank weapons amid reports that the administration of President Joe Biden has authorized an additional $200 million in military assistance to bolster Ukraine's military.
In regard to the tense situation in Ukraine, it is indeed very tense. We see weapons deliveries there, we see different kinds of drills, we see NATO and Western countries' aviation there. All this is causing tension around Ukraine, and we would like our counterparts, including Germany, to take this into account. We value our relationship with Germany a lot. It is important to us, and we hope to develop it successfully further.
Moscow denies any plans for an attack, but has said it could take unspecified military action unless the West agrees to a list of demands. Among those demands is an assurance that Ukraine does not join NATO among a list of legally binding security guarantees sought by Moscow towards a new settlement in Europe. Washington and NATO have already rejected some key demands, which include scaling back NATO troops and missiles from Eastern Europe. Top envoys Antony, Blinken and Sergei Lavrov are due to meet in Geneva, Switzerland on Friday. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.